Vaccine mandates are racist. That's according to Black Lives Matter of New York. And they plan to do something about it. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, especially to look into controversial topics, you should be using a VPN like Surfshark to protect your identity. And speaking of controversial topics, the US government is pressuring people to get a COVID vaccine by using vaccine mandates. It started with local governments. Last month, New York City mandated vaccines for restaurants and other venues. Several other cities have similar rules now, like San Francisco. And Honolulu requires either the vaccine or frequent testing that can cost at least $90 per test, even for outdoor venues. Then, earlier this month, President Joe Biden announced a federal vaccine mandate. Now, as we've talked about, this is something Biden had originally promised he wouldn't do, as did the CDC and Dr. Fauci. Vaccine mandates have become a hot-button political issue. Left-leaning media try to paint people who resist vaccine mandates as far-right extremists or QAnon anti-vaxxers. They even call it the final form of Trumpism. And if ever there were a group that exemplified far-right QAnon Trump supporters, it's Black Lives Matter. Yeah, what have I told you before? Things are always more complicated than the simple narratives pushed by the media. Now, it's true there is a big push against vaccine mandates by some Republicans, but it's not because they're QAnon anti-vaxxers. Data shows that the majority of Republicans are vaccinated, but many Republicans oppose vaccine mandates, calling them government overreach that strips away people's right to make decisions about their own bodies. A sort of my body, my choice argument, if you will. And many critics against vaccine mandates are in fact vaccinated. But it turns out, data shows that besides some Republicans, young people and minorities are also less likely to get the COVID vaccine. In fact, before the New York City vaccine mandate, only 28% of Black New Yorkers aged 18 to 44 were vaccinated. And the latest and loudest voice against vaccine mandates is Black Lives Matter of Greater New York. Black Lives Matter of Greater New York says vaccine mandates are a racist social distancing practice. Here's what co-founder Hawk Newsom has to say about vaccine mandates.
About these vaccine mandates, listen, the vaccine is a choice, okay? This is a choice. You shouldn't exclude people from everyday activities because they choose not to engage in something they have every reason to doubt. The government story on the vaccines have changed every 1 to 2 months since Donald Trump. The vaccines have had effects that people come out and say, oh, well, you know, that never happens, but they do happen. People die. Joe Biden said that folks wouldn't be hospitalized. People are being hospitalized and dying. We, as black people, have every reason not to trust the vaccines. But yet again, I'm not telling you not to get it. I'm just saying you should have a choice.
This is after an altercation last week, which led to him and others claiming that the New York City vaccine mandate is being weaponized against minorities. Now, to clarify, Black Lives Matter of Greater New York isn't directly affiliated with the larger Black Lives Matter organization you all know. It's outside the hierarchy of the Black Lives Matter global network. But like the larger BLM group, the New York BLM group raises questions about how minorities are treated. More after the break. Welcome back. Or not. For all we know, YouTube might flag us again for medical misinformation, like what they did to our video fact-checking a debunked ivermectin story. Anyways, last week, 3 black women from Texas were arrested after allegedly assaulting an Asian American hostess in front of Carmine's restaurant in New York City.
The 3 women were part of a larger party who arrived to the restaurant in 2 groups. 3 men who showed up later were not seated inside because of the proof of vaccine rule. In the video, a manager walks members of the party who did show proof of vaccination inside. The 24-year-old hostess walks past them, exiting the restaurant. 4 follow her outside. That's when the fight starts.
We can't show you the footage of the actual fight because YouTube would age restrict this video. According to one of their lawyers, the 3 women said it was the hostess who assaulted them. She physically and verbally provoked confrontation and then played the victim to criminalize these 3 black women. The hostess spouted out derogatory comments. According to the lawyer, the hostess supposedly said the N-word and lunged at the women, sparking the fight. Now, we can neither confirm nor deny if the hostess actually said the N-word. The security footage released by Carmine's didn't have audio. But from the footage that we can't show you, it appears to be the 3 women who initiated the physical fight with the hostess. If you do want to see the footage, the New York Post has posted it. A spokesperson for Carmine said none of the attackers offered any reason for their attack. None of the hosts, all of whom are people of color, uttered a racial slur. None of the attackers mentioned anything about race to our managers, staff, or the police who arrested them. The owner of the restaurant says this footage makes clear that the women's Texan criminal defense attorney is heaving falsehoods to try to get his clients off the hook for their attack. True or not, BLM New York quickly sided with the 3 women and labeled the Asian American hostess a racist. Then they organized a protest claiming the entire restaurant is racist. Now remember, the original reason for the conflict was the restaurant would not let black men enter because they were unvaccinated. And that's why things went from hating on Carmine's to hating on vaccine mandates.
Why we are out here today, it's more than Carmine's. It's more than Dr. Rankin. It's about protecting black women in this city. It's about protecting all black people. Because the stats show that 72% of black people in this city from ages 18 to 44 are unvaccinated. So what is going to stop the Gestapo, the NYPD? What is going to stop them from rounding up black folks? What's going to stop them from snatching black people off the train? Snatching black people off the bus? What is going to stop them from doing this? We are. We stand at the vanguard.
According to Hawk Newsom, the reason why the New York BLM is saying this is because vaccine mandates could be a slippery slope, so the mandate should be removed completely. In this case, the slippery slope would be towards racism.
We're putting the city on notice. Your mandate will not be another racist social distance practice. Black folk are not going to stand by, or you will see another uprising. And that is not a threat, that is a promise.
What we are seeing here is the NYPD and restaurants using vaccination cards as a reason to discriminate against black people. We will not sit by and allow for you to use this pandemic, for you to use vaccination cards, for you to use masks as another reason to be racist, to throw us in prison.
In a nutshell, the New York BLM is claiming vaccine mandates are racist because they disproportionately affect blacks, many of whom aren't vaccinated. There are also concerns the elites are selectively enforcing vaccine mandates on black Americans more than on white Americans who commit the same violation. This is causing a lot of distrust among black people. We'll have more after the break. Welcome back. Black Americans have been disproportionately affected by the coronavirus pandemic. According to the latest Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data, compared to white Americans, black Americans are twice as likely to die of COVID and almost 3 times as likely to be hospitalized. Despite this, they're also the least likely to get vaccines. According to the Morning Consult, the most common reason is because of concerns about side effects and fears that clinical trials for the vaccines went too fast. But there are other reasons black people may be less willing to get vaccinated. Some attribute this to misinformation circulating in the black community. Many also link the low black vaccination rate to distrust in institutions and fear of structural racism. Some cite the notorious Tuskegee syphilis study in 1932 as a source of distrust. It was a wildly unethical study of syphilis conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service. Even though syphilis was treatable, the study involved withholding treatment from almost 400 black men with syphilis over decades. 128 men died of syphilis or complications from it. 40 of their wives were infected with syphilis, and 19 children were born with syphilis. Many blacks still feel the government and healthcare providers don't have their best interests in mind. According to the New York Times, this was reinforced by the brief suspension of single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccines, when it was linked to blood clots in the brains of several women. The odds of getting a blood clot from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine are still extremely low, but you can see how forcing people to get the vaccine might cause some anxiety. And the blood clot issue reinforced the idea that the U.S. government may have malicious intent against the black community, especially since J&J vaccines were central for vaccinating minority neighborhoods. Many black New Yorkers said the Johnson & Johnson suspension left them more anxious that the vaccines were unsafe, insufficiently tested, and steered to black neighborhoods. So vaccine mandates are hitting on a lot of the fears in the black community. This is a problem for President Biden. Biden is now less popular with black voters after his vaccine mandate rollout. According to the Morning Consult, the president's net approval rating has fallen 12 percentage points among black voters, driven by a 17-point drop among unvaccinated black voters. It's definitely a warning for Biden that his vaccine mandates aren't just angering Republicans. Opposition to vaccine mandates isn't just a black and white issue. And this episode is sponsored by Surfshark, because regardless of what side of the political aisle you're on, and regardless of your views on vaccines or mandates, what you do online deserves to be private. And that's what Surfshark's for. Surfshark secures your data with top-of-the-line, uncrackable encryption and the most secure VPN protocols. And to further protect your privacy, Surfshark doesn't keep logs of what you do. In fact, it keeps a server network in the British Virgin Islands, where local laws allow companies to not keep user data logs. This is why we've been working with Surfshark for more than 2 years. They're a great company that cares about your privacy. So if you need a VPN, and believe me you do, go with Surfshark. Try it out with our special deal that includes 83% off a 2-year plan, plus 3 extra months for free. Go to surfshark.com/uncovered. For just $2.21 a month, you can get Surfshark on all your devices. So click the link below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.